The story of Gautama Buddha's enlightenment. In a distant land, in the ancient kingdom of Magadha, there lived a young man named Siddhartha. He was the prince of the kingdom, blessed with luxuries beyond measure. But his heart was restless. Siddhartha felt a deep yearning to understand the true meaning of life and find a way to alleviate the suffering that surrounded him. One fateful day, as Siddhartha was taking a leisurely ride through the kingdom's lush gardens, he noticed an old man hunched over, struggling to walk. His frail form and wrinkled face deeply affected the prince. He was aware of the inevitability of aging, illness, and death, but witnessing it firsthand moved something within him. As Siddhartha approached the old man, a mixture of curiosity and compassion filled his heart. He dismounted from his chariot and walked over to the elderly figure with a warm smile. "Greetings, sir," Siddhartha said gently. "Couldn't help but notice that you seem to be in discomfort. Is there anything I can do to help?" The old man looked up, his eyes clouded with age and weariness. "Ah, young prince," he replied, his voice trembling with gratitude and surprise. "Your kindness is appreciated, but there is little that can be done for an old man like me. My body has grown feeble with time, and each step I take feels heavier than the last." Siddhartha listened intently, captivated by the old man's words. Despite his privilege as a prince, he had always been shielded from the hardships of aging and suffering. Now, seeing the frailty of old age before him, he realized the impermanence of life. "Tell me, old sir," Siddhartha inquired respectfully, "have you lived a fulfilling life? Are you content with the days that have passed?" The old man chuckled softly, his gaze turning distant as he reflected on his journey through life. "Fulfilling, young prince. I have seen both joy and sorrow, experienced love and loss. My days have been filled with moments of bliss and challenges. Looking back, I have cherished memories and regrets. Such is the nature of life, a tapestry woven with both light and shadows." As Siddhartha absorbed the old man's words, a deep sense of empathy washed over him. He realized that the allure of material wealth and royal privilege could not shield him from the universal truths of existence. Birth, aging, sickness, and death, no matter one's status or wealth. Everyone was bound to face these inevitable aspects of life. Unable to shake off the profound encounter, Siddhartha began to venture beyond the palace walls. He disguised himself as a commoner and explored the kingdom's bustling streets, discovering the realities of poverty, sickness, and sorrow that were hidden from him before. As days turned into weeks, Siddhartha's sense of urgency to find answers grew. He yearned for knowledge and sought solace in the teachings of the kingdom's wise sages. Yet, despite his earnest efforts, he couldn't find the peace and clarity he sought. One night, as he lay restless on his grand bed, Siddhartha made a life-altering decision. He realized that the life of luxury and material pleasures had not brought him the contentment he desired. Driven by a deep desire for understanding, he resolved to leave his palace, his family, and his comfortable life behind in search of enlightenment. In the stillness of the night, Siddhartha slipped away from the palace, accompanied only by his loyal charioteer, Chandaka. Together, they journeyed into the vast unknown, driven by an unwavering quest for truth. For years, Siddhartha wandered from place to place, seeking knowledge from various ascetics and gurus. He practiced severe austerities, hoping to find enlightenment through self-denial and physical discipline. Yet no matter how extreme his efforts, Siddhartha could not find the answers he sought. One day, weakened and on the verge of collapse from prolonged fasting, Siddhartha collapsed under the shade of a bowtie tree. Feeling defeated, he looked up at the tree's branches, the leaves gently rustling in the breeze. As he stared at the tree, a deep sense of calm washed over him. It was in that moment of surrender that Siddhartha experienced a profound realization. He understood that the path to enlightenment was not about self-inflicted suffering, but about finding the middle way, a balanced approach to life. The answer was not in extreme indulgence or deprivation, but in moderation and mindfulness. Renewed with newfound energy and determination, Siddhartha dedicated himself to meditation under the Bodhi tree. For 49 days and nights, he delved deep into the recesses of his mind, confronting his fears, doubts, and desires. He emerged from the depths of his consciousness with clarity and insight, having attained enlightenment. From that day on, Siddhartha was no longer just a prince. He had transformed into the Buddha, the awakened one. He had discovered the Four Noble Truths, the truths of suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path to the cessation of suffering. With his newfound wisdom, the Buddha journeyed to a deer park in Sarnath, near the holy city of Varanasi. There, he met with 5 monks who had been his companions during his time of extreme devotion. The Buddha shared his insights with them, delivering his first sermon, known as the Turning of the Wheel of Dharma, as the Buddha expounded on the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. The 5 ascetics were deeply moved. They saw the truth in his teachings, and their hearts opened to the path of liberation. They sought his guidance on how to lead a life of virtue, wisdom, and compassion. The Buddha traveled extensively, sharing his teachings across the land, imparting wisdom to those who were eager to learn. His teachings, known as Buddhism, offered a path to liberation from suffering and the opportunity to attain enlightenment. The story of Kisa Gautama is a poignant tale that illustrates the teachings of impermanence and interconnectedness in Buddhism. One day, the Buddha encounters a grieving mother named Kisa Gautama, who is holding the lifeless body of her only child. Overwhelmed by sorrow and desperately seeking a way to bring her child back to life, she approaches the Buddha for help. In response, the Buddha shows great compassion and understanding. He gently explains to Kisa Gautama that death is a natural part of life, and nothing in this world is permanent. To emphasize this point, he shares a story about a woman who, like Kisa Gautama, was searching for a mustard seed from a house untouched by death. The woman realizes that every household has experienced loss and death, just like her own, and she cannot find a mustard seed from such a place. Through this story, Kisa Gautama gradually comprehends the universality of suffering and the inevitability of death. She comes to understand that her grief is not unique to her, but is a shared experience among all living beings. In this realization, she finds solace and acceptance in the impermanence of all things and the interconnectedness of life. As the years passed, the Buddha continued to teach, leaving behind a legacy of wisdom, compassion, and enlightenment. His teachings reached far and wide, crossing borders and oceans, and inspiring countless individuals to embrace the path of compassion and awakening. The Buddha's teachings, known as the Dharma, became a guiding light for generations to come. They formed the foundation of a peaceful and harmonious way of life, emphasizing the importance of kindness, generosity, and understanding.